morning, good evening, and of course, depending at what time you are watching this show, I welcome everybody. This is Dr. Hope Sibui, and I am here today talking about one of the topics that is so close to my heart. Mental health is all about how you think, feel, and behave. Mental health specialists can have people with depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, addiction, and other conditions that affect their thoughts, feelings, and behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, in recent years, there's been an increase in acknowledgement of the importance role in the mental health. Out of 5, 4 people are actually having mental disorder. Can you believe that? I am not an expert in that, but I have the lady tonight that is going to take us through this topic. She is an occupational therapy. And her name is Doipy. I mean, if you look at her, the first time when she was talking to me about mental health, I'm like, okay. Doipy, thank you.
What an introduction. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Dr. Hope, for having me.
Yes.
Yes.
Why did you decide to be an occupational therapist out of all the careers?
Yes. So usually people, when they hear about occupational therapy, they're like, what in the world is that?
Right.
Like, what is that, right? And I wanted something that was between medicine and psychology because I've always loved the two professions a lot. And what occupational therapy is about, it's about functioning and quality of life. A lot of the times when people struggle with their mental health, their functioning tends to deteriorate. Their quality of life tends to deteriorate. So if you used to engage in leisure activities with your friends on a Friday evening, because you're struggling with depression, now you isolate yourself, you're not engaging with people as much, that's your quality of life going down.
That's very, very important, right?
Yes.
I was not even aware. So depression actually are those signs of depression?
Yes, yes. So even in occupational therapy, it's not only in physical health, but I fell in love with mental health so much because there's so much stigma around, you know, mental health disorders. When someone has depression or anxiety, they feel like they can't share freely about it because they're going to be judged about why can't you just control your mind? Why can't you just control your emotions? Just be happy, be okay, right?
Because I was really reading about this mental health, and for me it was like, how did we get here when even kids are now having a mental disorder? Please take us through the process of mental health or mental disorder. What is actually going on? If you can just take us through that process.
Yes. So you were right in saying that mental health is anything that affects your emotions, how you think, how you behave, and how you feel, right? And a mental health condition, a disorder, is when now you're struggling with depression, bipolar, anxiety, schizophrenia, all of these things that are affecting how you're feeling. Maybe you're more sad, you're more anxious, you're feeling more overwhelmed, or you're too happy, you're manic now. You can't control your emotions. Yes, so people who have bipolar go through experiencing mania, right? Oh, it's affecting how you think. You're struggling, you're feeling like you're overthinking, you're struggling even to sometimes your concentration, you know? It's almost like you have like a traffic jam, how people explain it. It's like a lot of congestion. I can't think clear thoughts, like my brain is foggy, you know?
What causes that, basically?
It's also caused by depression. So depression in and of itself has a biopsychosocial cause. So biological, as in you can have a chemical imbalance in your brain. Psychological, when you've gone through traumatic events that have affected your mind. And social, as in our environment tends to affect how we feel, right? If you're consistently in a very abusive environment, or you work at a work environment that's quite toxic, that can affect how you feel, your mental health, right? So any biological thing where sometimes people are depressed and they can't pinpoint exactly why. And sometimes it's because there's a chemical imbalance in your brain that is actually affecting how you feel. or psychological or social as well.
So depression is the actual cause of all these things that we are going to even touch base on. So the main thing is actually when you are mentally not balanced.
Yes. So those things cause depression. Those different things. So
they cause depression.
Yes. So sometimes people have gone through very traumatic things in their childhood, right? And they didn't get
example like maybe rape?
Yes.
Okay.
Rape, or even parents divorcing, separating. Yeah. Maybe you moved around a lot. Right. Or in your home, there was a lot of abuse.
Right.
There was physical abuse and you couldn't talk about it because you were so afraid of your abusive parent.
Right.
Those are very traumatic things to go through. Even bullying. Bullying in the school, that can cause a lot of anxiety because every day you would wake up and be afraid of going to school because you would know that your bullies are waiting for you there, right? So people go through all of these childhood things and you're a child. So you don't know how to process your emotions, you know? You cry, you tell your parents, and sometimes your parents can be dismissive. They also have their own things that they're struggling with. And as you grow older, you start to realize maybe events happen that trigger you and remind you back of something that happened previously to you, that actually you were bullied before. That's why this is such a big deal for you and you're experiencing it in such a big way.
So, okay, let's drill it down.
Yes.
So, for example, do we have especially in the society, is there a gap between parents and kids where parents don't understand or know the signs of depression to a child, and a child also is not able to understand why mommy is doing certain things? Yes. Is there an imbalance also in terms of parenting and all that stuff? Is it where it starts most of the time?
Yes. I mean, it all has to do with also how you grew up, you know?
Okay.
If a parent grew up being beaten by their parents,
right,
they were not allowed to show emotions, they were not allowed to express themselves.
Be strong.
Yeah, they were supposed to be strong, they were supposed to be happy, they were just supposed to be grateful. And then now we are transitioning in a different generation where children are now informed about mental health. And now they have all these news that if you're feeling sad for a long time, you're feeling lonely for a long time, you're not engaging in activities you used to engage in, this is actually what it could be called. Now you go and you tell your parent that, who was raised in a totally different way.
Like,
and
what are you talking about?
Why do you have depression?
Exactly. You're lazy.
Exactly.
Without understanding.
Yes. And now they're thinking, why? Because also sometimes parents are looking, they blame themselves.
Right.
And they're looking for a particular reason. They're like, why do you have depression? I feed you. You go to school. I provide
give you money.
For you. I give you money.
What do you want?
Exactly.
You've got everything.
Exactly. So sometimes they don't understand based on their own, how they were raised, but also based on like the fact that sometimes they're defensive and they think they might have done something wrong to cause your depression. Yeah.
So now, let's talk about the kids before we move to actually adults.
Yeah.
So what are the signs that a child is really depressed? Because for me, who doesn't even understand what is depression, for example, and I'm seeing my child being clumsy at home, all of a sudden, like, she likes to just isolate herself. When you say clean, she doesn't clean. What are the signs that kids are under depression or are depressed?
So yeah, definitely, like what you mentioned, depression affects your motivation levels, your mood levels. Sometimes you find that your child is tired. They feel like they have no motivation. They can't even wake up. You tell them clean, 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 and they don't wake up and do it. You find you open their room is just messy, it's dirty.
I know.
And you wonder, like, what is happening? But actually, and parents tend to think, this child is just lazy.
But
and there is and sometimes you do find that the child is lazy, but when you also know your child a bit more, and you can see that also their mood has changed. It's not only the fact that they're not engaging in chores. Sometimes it's also behavioral. They backchat more. they're irritable, they're easily irritated, or they isolate themselves, they don't want to engage with you. They have tantrums. You say something and then they just have outbursts, emotional outbursts. And you're wondering, what is happening? Exactly. But sometimes you actually realize that they're struggling. Also, another symptom is when academically they start to slack. Academically, they're not doing as great as they were doing previously, because they aren't able to concentrate like they were able to before. Like we said, depression affects how you think. Not only depression, mental health in general.
So basically, there is more of education that is needed to the parents. In order to understand and know those signs to their kids. And we don't just say, hey, this one, she's lazy, her room is what. Then we just need to follow up and just have time with them to say, Nana, is there anything that you want to talk to me about? Okay, is that where you talk also about communication?
Creating a safe space for your child is super important. I know that it's very difficult to establish the balance between this person is my friend and I'm the parent. Like, you know, you want to have a relationship with your child where it's able to be, she's able to be vulnerable with you, but still you have your authority as a parent. But it's important for you to create a safe space for your child so that your child knows that whatever they are struggling with, they can share with you. Also, the name calling thing. You know, sometimes when children are going through very depressive episodes, their parents say such hurtful things that even when they are out of that depressive episode, it has damaged the relationship for good.
Example? Give me some examples.
Yeah, like an example is, you're such a slob, you're lazy, you'll never be anything in life, you're stupid. If a child is struggling academically and you tell them that they are stupid, it's something they will not forget for a very long time.
Oh my word. Because words are powerful.
Exactly. Even in my job, I work mostly with the adults. And they're still healing from things that their parents said when they were younger. So those kinds of things, as parents, we need to be sensitive to the fact that your child could be struggling, and what you do when they are vulnerable is very critical. It can push them further away from you or draw them closer.
The research says that out of 5 people, 3 are actually wanting to commit suicide. Is it because of the depression that is, or the mental disorder that is happening around? Because I know that most people, they go through a lot. So is it one of the main reasons why people will want to commit suicide?
Yes. So okay, so depression is on a scale, okay? There are some people who have mild depression, some people have moderate depression, and some people have major depressive disorder. Once you start thinking about suicide, you're quite suicidal, you maybe have a plan in place, or you have thoughts of, I don't want to be on earth anymore, that is more major depressive disorder. Because now you are thinking that you are so hopeless to the point where you feel like, I would be much happier, more at peace if I was not here. And suicidality is one of the signs of depression and mental illness. And if someone out there is suicidal at the moment, please seek help. Seek help. There are crisis lines that are free. If you call SADAG, there are crisis lines where people can stay on the phone with you until you are well enough to check yourself in to a mental health hospital. And those are free, like South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG. They help a lot with those. So please Google a crisis line or call a dear friend that you know that could drive to your place. A lot of the times people don't talk about these things because they are so afraid, they're so full of shame.
What will society say? And I think one of the things is that I've seen on the social media, this child committed suicide because they found hers. There were some videos going around about her. I think she was doing something bad. And she just felt, I cannot face the world because they've just exposed me to the world. Is that at the point where you're saying, talk to somebody?
Yes.
But also the society is so... we are not educated to such a point that we just feel, what is it? You know, social media. Bofunani lapho nawe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Social media has had. I mean, I really love social media.
Right.
But at the same time, it has had such a negative effect and impact on people's mental health. One, it's increased a lot of anxiety because people are comparing themselves with people who are ages ahead of them. You know, you are 40, I'm 20, but because I have so much access to your life, I think, why don't I have this? Now there starts being comparison. But also a lot of bullying happens on social media where people have courageous thumbs, but they wouldn't be able to say the same thing to you if they saw you face to face, you know? So when you feel like social media is starting to affect you negatively, your mood and things like that, then you know it's time to take a break.
Right.
Take social media breaks, but also when you're being bullied on social media, put that aside. Talk to someone, because I know that some people have businesses on social media, and you can, it's literally your job, right? So you can't leave it. So talk to someone who cares. Psychotherapy is something that helps so much, and psychotherapy is just you talking to a psychologist, you talking to someone about the things that are making you feel overwhelmed, the things that are making you, that are weighing you down.
There are types of, I don't know if I can say, the mental health or what the OCDs and the what are those? What are those? The OCDs and the ACS? What? What are those? And at what point do you now realize that I'm now OCD?
Yes. So these are all mental health conditions, okay? And they present differently.
Right.
A lot of the times when people talk about mental health, they only focus on depression. But there's just so much more. Like there are mood disorders, and then there are anxiety disorders. So OCD, for instance, it falls under an anxiety disorder, where a lot of people like to say they're OCD because they like cleanliness. But it's not only about that. OCD is when you have an obsessive thought and you have a specific compulsion or a ritual you have to do that helps you deal with that thought. So for instance...
Slow down.
I know that doesn't make sense. I have to just kind of...
Please break it down.
Okay, so let's say that you were robbed. Right? Okay, so what I'm explaining is more PTSD. Let's say that, for instance, you are really afraid of germs, right? That's more under anxiety clusters. And you get this overwhelming feeling that if you don't wash your hands right now, something's going to happen. You have to wash your hands right now, because if you don't wash your hands right now, something's going to happen. Then you keep washing your hands. But it starts to interrupt your level of functionality. As in, now, even when you're in a meeting, right now I'm with you, I feel like this overwhelming feeling comes to me that I have to wash my hands. Now I have to leave this, go wash my hands, and then resume this. Yeah, so OCD, there's a lot of anxiety, but it's because there's an obsessive thought that will never leave your mind until you do something that will resolve it. For instance, if someone broke into your house, and you forgot to lock, right? And now you get this obsessive thought about, oh my gosh, you go to work, I didn't lock, you have to go back home. And then you leave again, I didn't lock, you have to go back home. So it's this obsessive thought, and then now you have to do a compulsion. So people like to confuse it with, oh, I like to clean, so that means I'm OCD. But it can be a lot of other things.
Makes sense. Okay, so now let's come to adults.
Okay, my passion. Yes.
How do they, what are the things that adults go through that really, because I know that, for example, personally, I need to look after my kids. I need to look after my husband. I need to look after my business. I need to look after my job. I need to look, how as a woman, for example, how should I juggle around and still be, relaxed in everything?
Adulting is hard. Let's start, I think, really like having an acknowledgement of the fact that having to wear all these many hats and juggle all of these things is hard.
Right.
As adults, we expect that, no, man, I should just be able to do it. It should come naturally to me. But it doesn't. It really doesn't. So a lot of the people who come or need to be admitted, a lot of the issues that we see are marital issues.
Right.
A lot of the issues that we see are work issues, grief as well. When you lose someone that you love and you are struggling with that loss, it can affect you a lot. Studies, finances as well. You lose a lot of money. In this economy, a lot of people have lost a lot of stuff.
Yeah, especially after COVID, right?
After COVID, some businesses didn't even recover, you know? And as a man who has to provide, has to take care of children, now you're thinking, my children have to leave school. That school, they have to downgrade their school. And you're feeling like a failure because your identity is locked up in being a provider and this person, and now you've gotten retrenched. All of these things can really cause one to go into a very depressive episode. And also, depression can be situational. Sometimes you find yourself going through a really, really tough situation and you are very depressed and you struggle. Or it can be chronic, where you have depression and you have to manage it for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know? And yeah, there are a lot of things that can cause depression.
So at work, what's happening at work when you say depression at work?
Yes.
And is there help there? Just take me through in terms of, say, is it because they are overwhelmed about work? And is there a help that people can get?
Yeah, of course. So high workload, feeling unappreciated in the workspace, feeling stuck in the workplace. I've been in this job for 30 years, same position. I haven't grown in my career. Sometimes feeling like you're in a completely wrong career. And now you're feeling unfulfilled in your life, but there's nothing you can do because you have so many financial responsibilities and you cannot move, so you almost feel stuck. But work stress can also affect you because also work now we don't have boundaries with work. A lot of people work from home. Right. Now people expect you to work, be on your computer from 7 in the morning until, 2 a.m. They're still sending you emails. And now every time you hear that Microsoft Teams little tune, you start getting, triggered. So we do a lot of psychotherapy around it, but also meetings with your manager, giving you time off of work as well for you to rest. A lot of people that we see as well are struggling with burnout, where you've worked yourself so much, you haven't been taking annual leave, you haven't been taking sick leave, you've worked yourself so much, you've been experiencing high levels of stress to the point where you just crash.
Right.
Now you have nothing left to give, you can't wake up in the mornings, now there's absenteeism at work. Those things are stressful.
And sometimes it's the fear of losing your job because you want to work as much to impress them, to say, in case anything happened, you are not the one to be eliminated.
Exactly.
Boipelo, I wish we can take another hour with you.
Sure.
But I wanted to speak to someone out there who is really depressed. They have no hope. They've just said, you know what, this is it. Because we are living in a time where even financially people are going through. And the last time I had a discussion with you that even in the workplace, actually you should have an OT, the occupational therapist, who should be helping people. So speak to someone out there who is saying, I am done. Is there hope to get out of this situation?
Sure. Okay, so if you are watching this and you are really struggling with your mental health, please do not be ashamed for struggling with your mental health. You are human, and as human beings, we have our struggles. Please ask for help. Let people know what you are struggling with. Depression grows in isolation. It grows. It becomes this big monster that we struggle to even understand, that we struggle to overcome. But in community, you'll find that people have similar struggles that you are actually facing. So please open up about what you are struggling with, what you are dealing with your loved ones, with your friends. And if they don't understand, seek for professional help. Because sometimes you can talk to your friend or your sister and they're just, you know, very invalidating, thinking, we are all going through a lot. They don't understand what you are actually going through. So seek professional help, and there's always hope. You know, life works in seasons. There's summer, there's spring, there's autumn, there's winter. Winter does not last all year, you know. Summer does not last all year. Spring does not last all year. Autumn doesn't last all year. And even though whatever it is that you're going through seems like it's this big thing that's been weighing you down, that's been really, really going on forever, seasons will change. And sometimes you need a little bit of help to get out of that season successfully. So please ask for it and accept it when people want to give it to you.
Thank you so much. Oh, I just felt such relief, like just something is like was taken off my shoulder.
Sure,
wow. Do not give up. That's what Doipy is saying.
Yes.
Our occupational therapist today that is helping us. And I wish we can do more of this episode, especially in this month of October, where we are celebrating the month cancer awareness. And of course, the 10th of this month also we're celebrating, or we are having a mental health awareness. Yes. What I can say to you out there, say don't give up. Like she said, seek help. And you will come out of this. Do not kill yourself. There is still hope for you. From me to you, I love you. And until next time in this episode, God bless you.